It's a dynamic time for women writers on the First Coast, and an event this weekend is going to showcase some of their voices and accomplishments. Here to talk about it, I'm joined now by Shani Hall, author and board president of Women Writing for Change.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
I'm also joined by State Representative Angie Nixon, owner of the Cafe Resistance Bookstore on Soutel Drive. Hi.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. And Casey Truglio, co founder of Rebel Readers. Hey, Casey.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So glad to have you. So, Shani, Women Writing for Change is a local affiliate of a national group. What is the goal of either the local or the national group?
I think the goal for both the national and local, is to really give a voice to those who are voiceless. We try to work with underrepresented writers, namely minorities and BIPOC women that do not get a chance to write, number one. And number two, it's a way for us to heal and build communities.
For people who don't know the term BIPOC, remind us of what it stands for.
BIPOC, and I'm going to look at my, it's going to be Black.
Indigenous people of color.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angie. All right. And so you focus on creating kind of a space that's safe for women writers, and you do that through something called Circles. What does that accomplish?
It really accomplished the ability to give safe space for women to voice their thoughts and opinions where there might not be uncomfortable, or give the opportunity. And it really serves as a foundation for us building community.
The goal is to be welcoming and sort of free of judgment.
Definitely free of judgment.
Yeah.
It's somewhere where you have the ability to write down and communicate your innermost thoughts. And again, you don't have to share it. You can keep it to yourself, or you can take the opportunity to share with like-minded people.
So, Casey, you're a co-founder of Rebel Readers. What led to the creation of that group, and what does it do?
So, we were born directly as a result of the most recent book banning in the state of Florida. Katie and I are both former educators, and so we just thought we saw firsthand the literacy rates declining and students struggling with reading and writing, and we were born out of just wanting to provide unobstructed access to multicultural, diverse, banned, and challenged literature.
What are you seeing in terms of book bans? Is that what you're saying is contributing to problems with literacy, problems with engagement?
Absolutely, absolutely. Book banning doesn't help anyone. What a child reads should be determined by that child and their parent, and that's what we are trying to facilitate.
And you're a former educator?
That's correct.
And so you were seeing some of this while you were in school?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes.
so what was the kind of feeling in the schools when you were coping with these book bans among educators?
It's a weird feeling of helplessness, honestly, because we see a problem and we know how to fix it, but we could lose our licenses for fixing it by providing access to literature. That it only takes one parent to file a complaint and have a title removed from the entire district.
So there were 565 books, Representative Nixon, in 2021 and 2022, and that number went up to 2,700 in the following year, in 2023. Most of those complaints coming from Northeast Florida.
Yeah, I mean, a lot having to do with the Moms for Liberty camp. And so what we've seen over the past few years is there's a concerted effort to basically attack public education and to make it seem as though our teachers aren't doing their jobs. It's become really politically polarizing to the point where even my Republican colleagues decided to pass legislation this past cycle, this past legislative session, to limit the number of times you can actually go out to try to ban a book, basically, or and it's just wild, right? And it's hurting our students, especially Black students. According to a national organization, Black students in 8th grade, there are only 44% of them are proficient here in the state of Florida. And that's one of the reasons that I decided to open up my bookstore alongside my daughter. In addition to what Rebel Readers is doing, right? Like to actually put those banned books, which I would like to call liberated books, those liberated books on the bookshelves. It's just amazing when Black students come into the store and they see books with characters that look like them. They're more apt to pick it up.
And we've seen in these book bans that a lot of those that are targeted for ban are not just women authors, which are far and away the majority, but also books that are about and for children, people of color.
Yeah. Teaching true history, you know, all the things that we should have our children learn.
And the gay and lesbian community
Yep.
as well.
Same.
So those are books that you're choosing at Cafe Resistance. Is that kind of is selling books, putting books out there the goal? Or I mean, because there's also kind of a community coffee shop element.
So it is the goal as well. The goal is to get a rise and to increase the literacy rates in the community, right? It's no coincidence that I decided to put it on Soutel, which is it is in my district, but it is also in an area where those students are not necessarily on grade level. And so we wanted to just create a space where they can come, they can get books, but they can also learn about true history. They can also come and be revitalized. The village is going to revitalize itself there. So we consider ourselves the community hub as well.
So how did you engage your daughter in reading when she was young? She's working this bookstore with you.
Yeah, she's going to be working the bookstore with me. So, you know, Natalie did not like to read when she was younger, and she also had issues, self-esteem issues. And so I asked her, did she want to write a book with me once? And she said, yeah. I said, but you have to read more books because no one wants to read the same things over and over again. And you learn more words when you're reading. And so we wrote a comic book. We entered it into the One Spark Festival and we won. And we traveled the country, even all the way to Alaska, to promote her book and to teach writing workshops.
That's really extraordinary for people who don't know that story.
The Adventures of Moxie McGriff.
That's right, Moxie. And that really was a story that was just kind of everywhere here in town. And she was everywhere.
Yeah, she was everywhere across the country as well. Like I said, we traveled all over.
So, Shani, you're an IT executive by trade. What inspired you to begin writing?
Actually, it's a funny story. I've always told funny stories to my kids. I think, as Angie says, to try to encourage my kids to read more. We've always took the opportunity to write stories together. But when my granddaughter was born about 2 years ago, we worked with her on different languages and learning different languages. So the story is she was learning Mandarin at the time, and working with foster kids. It's amazing how many kids don't leave their block, and how many kids don't get the chance to travel to different places. And, you know, with my kids, we were able to travel around the world, and I wanted to share some of those experiences with the other kids. So we created a book called Kobe Travels, and it focuses on a minority little girl traveling to different places, learning about the country and learning about the different languages.
And so you did one to the Kobe travels to Spain, another one Kobe travels to Cuba. Are those experiences that you've had or been able to share with your family, or are they just imagined through the literature?
Nope, they're experiences that we've had with my family. So my family had the opportunity to travel to these places. And I think that by kids reading about these different places not only encourages them to want to try and explore more because someone like them is doing it, but also gives us a cultural tolerance that is very much needed in our salad bowl of culture today.
So there's a festival coming up this weekend on the 1st of June. What is the goal of the festival? What's the focus of the festival?
So the focus of this festival is Women Writing for Change with Rebel Readers. We are sponsoring around 30 to 40 different authors to come out to talk to the community and also to get the opportunity to sell their books.
All right. And Casey, there's 5 independent bookstores owned by women in the city right now. That's kind of amazing.
It is.
It is a different time right now.
It is. It's an excellent time for local authors and local bookstores to uplift their voices, and we hope to do that through the festival as well.
And Representative Nixon, you're going to be speaking. What are you going to be talking about?
I'm going to be talking about what it's like to open up a bookstore and the need for us to support literacy in our communities now, and also just that we are giving love to each other. There's no competition. We want our children to read, and we want to have a better educated and well-informed society.
So if somebody's interested in going, Shani, what can they do?
They can definitely follow us on all social medias as Women Writing for Change Jacksonville. But more importantly, we are at Cork this weekend. So they can meet us there at 11 o'clock on Saturday.
And it runs from 1 to 3.
11 to 3.
11 to 3. All right, great. Well, thank you, Angie Nixon, Shani Hall, Casey Truglio. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
having us.
Thank you for having us.
Y'all come out and support.